Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Peer Support Monday for social workers and allied health workers in research. So if you're doing any sort of research and you're a social worker or an allied health worker, jump in on a Monday and join us because together we share the ups and downs of research, and there are many. It doesn't matter if you're a HDR student, an honours student, if you're even just writing a paper and researching the info for the paper to present at an international conference. If you are going international, don't tell us because I think we'll all be jealous. But any sort of research, jump in and join us because this is peer support. If you're a member of the AASW, you can use this as peer supervision as well, or for research and integrity, learning and development, completely up to you, but it's also up to the AASW whether or not they accept it. But I want you to get a load of this. We've got 3 states here. I'm in the Northern Territory. Doug the Snowman there, he's in Adelaide, so South Australia. And Anne-Marie is in Queensland, in Croydon or Normanton. I always get this.
Normanton.
Yeah, Normanton. Okay. So we're all in 3 different states. Who do you think might have the coldest temperature today? Now, come on, you fellas, do your research on observation. And who do you think might be the coldest? I think it must be Anne-Marie. Would I be correct? Doug, it is so lovely to see you dressed up like a snow.
I thought it was a bit much, but yeah, like even washing my hands when I had to wash them at Brisbane, there's some water. Oh, the water was that cold. It was frostbite.
Yeah. Look, I'm a baby. I just can't do that real cold stuff. It scares me. When I was in Alaska, I actually got frostbite on a couple of my toes, and I think that damaged me psychologically. But Anne-Marie, it's funny looking at you with a jacket on the weekend. Paul and I have a date every Saturday. We go out to breakfast every Saturday morning, rain, hail, or shine. And I'm sitting there listening to a couple of older women who are about to go on holidays to Airlie Beach in Queensland. And they're trying to work out how cold it's going to be and do they have enough flannelette shirts and trousers. It was so funny, but we take this change in temperatures so seriously, particularly if you're from the north where it's always lovely and warm, except for today. Look at Anne-Marie. So what's happening in everybody's real research world? So Anne-Marie, let's start with you because I think we started with Doug last time, did we not?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Anne-Marie.
Yes, well, it was radio weekend, and usually I spend a fair bit of time at the radio, but this time I really wanted to get that confirmation of candidature document completed, so that I could send it into my supervisor to have a read and see how it's going. And like there's a 5,000 word limit on it. And so I had to do a lot of killing paragraphs, which was really really hard to do. But yeah, about I don't know, 7 o'clock last night I sent it through. So I was really, really pleased with that. And to get up this morning and not like I've got plenty of other stuff I need to do. I need to be working on the ethics stuff and I need to be working on the presentation and that sort of thing. But to have that one off my plate just temporarily is just amazing. I did think I would get a bottle of wine because I very rarely have a drink. But I get a bottle of wine when I sent it, but I was too tired to go down the pub and get one. So maybe tonight.
Only 5,000 words.
Yeah, in the confirmation document. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I think
that's what Charles Darwin want the masters to be, is around 5,000 words.
Okay.
even
Yeah.
though mine was about 10,000 because I was cutting it from a PhD down, I still made about 10 or so thousand words. So it's
Yeah.
a bit over.
So CDU PhD was 10,000 words, but I was 15. But I had the wonderful Tara, so she let it through. Although
Yeah,
I
no,
think,
this says on the web page anyway that if it's more than the 5,000 words, they'll send it back to you. And I think I've got like 23 words spare at this.
Well done.
so are you aware that none of those words are then wasted? Those words
Yeah,
can be, yeah. And also all the cullage from the
yeah,
additional words, you don't waste any of them. Yeah.
yeah,
So you
yeah.
can really go for it. Well, that's a huge thing.
Oh, yeah, and it is a real relief because it took me so long to like I wrote a first version of it and I thought it was going quite well. But then I got some feedback on it and it wasn't their feedback, but it was more that I put two and two together as I read it and went, yeah, no, I'm missing a big bit here. And then I got really confused about where I was going and what I was doing. But I did that training with Claire, which helped me clarify getting it all to link
Yeah,
up.
yeah,
And so like I sort of put all her bits on pieces of paper so that I then linked it linked it through. And yeah, I'm quite pleased with where it is now. Who knows what the supervisors will think, but
well, given that you've been successful at everything else that you've done, like you have so many degrees and you are so accomplished, you have 57,000 books. What have you got? Is it 3 printed and 1 in print? Or
three printed and one still waiting for the artist to finish her thing. Yeah.
okay, so like you have already demonstrated your research robustness. I just cannot imagine that they're going to look at your confirmation of candidature document and go, "This is crap, woman, do it again." It's not going to
Yeah.
happen.
I suppose my biggest thing is that it aligns with the people who are funding me. And
Yeah.
that's one thing I've sort of um, come to realize over time, like the opinions and stuff doesn't have to align. It's just the subject matter and it's early childhood. So yeah, I think
Yeah, it'll all come together. Yeah.
it'll all come together. Yeah.
And I was the same with my scholarship in lived experience. As long as I cover off on lived experience, I can do whatever I want. Is
Mm.
what I've done. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But and that's excellent, Anne Marie, and we will be there rooting for you at COC.
What is it going to be? Do you know?
23rd of July.
Oh, I better put in that right calendar. Can you
Yeah,
send
I'll
me
put, I'll
an
put the email.
email invite for that?
Yeah, yep. I haven't got anything like
No.
for it as yet, but yeah.
You'll need to let them know that you've got externals that want to join in and that we are your support network.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, because I'll actually be there in person for it.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. So you're
Yeah,
going to be
because
really
there's
brave. 23rd of July in Brisbane. Whoa, that's cold.
it's also it's a little bit funny, but it's my wedding anniversary as well. And it must have been on our 25th wedding anniversary was the first time I did a conference presentation. Uh,
Wow.
yeah. So
Okay, so there's something about your wedding anniversary.
anniversary, yeah. And then yeah, 3 days later it's my birthday. So
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
yeah, I'll have that in Brisbane as well, which will be
yeah,
nice.
that's lovely. Yeah, yeah. Will you be with family? Are you going down to see your dad?
Mm. Yeah. I'll be with family, but also doing the um Life Course Centre conference thing and doing something at it. ask them on my next supervision session to just clarify what it is they want me to do. They said, it's about, remote early childhood stuff, but I just want a bit more than that. It's
Yeah.
it is an international conference.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, and so probably knowing what I'm doing would be a bit awesome.
yeah. Well, this is true. Yeah, it's so you've got some direction. Yeah, and I see you have been painting as well. You've been very creative, and I absolutely love that tree. Uh,
Yeah.
and you could see the people in the little holes. Oh, just and because I know the story behind it.
That's why I sent it to you and Cardine. I
Yeah.
painted a tree that is on Norfolk Island that's got a
Yep.
spooky church
Okay. Yeah.
um, at it, and yeah, it's. I don't know. Have we talked about that before? The spooky church that wouldn't let,
I think we have.
Cardine and I in.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so yes, it's got them there.
Yeah.
Was it spooky? Did something sinister happen there, or was it just spooky?
It wouldn't let us in, wouldn't let Cardine and I into the church, and the next people who came along just walked in there, no worries at all. But it has a spooky feel about it
Hmm.
as well. But I've done research about it, and I can't find anything. Um, because the people who are, in charge of the spookiness obviously wrote the history as well.
Yeah. Okay.
It is built on an area that was known for black magic with the Tahitians, with the first settlers on that particular island. And there has been some documentation around that. But you would think that all of the blessings that have gone on that land over the time and the repatriation of graves from the valley up to the spot under the tree, which is it is the most magnificent spot. You would
Mm.
think again that, they would have consecrated the ground and who knows how all of this works.
Mm.
But even lots of Norfolk Islanders that I spoke to won't go into that church.
Ah.
Yeah, I love it. I go in and I sit there and I touch all of the mother of pearl etchings on the end of the pews. The glass is just magnificent. I sit and sit in the pews and I sing. I could sing anything, Feed the Birds from Mary Poppins, whatever's going.
It's
But
really interesting that the pews in the church all face to the center instead of to the altar. I've never seen a church set up that way before. So, like, who are you watching in the center? Like, yeah.
that's
You know,
very high church. So in all of the old churches in England, like the big churches, the cathedrals. So
yeah.
they're all like that. They have a section up the front where they all sit side to side, looking at each other.
Ooh,
Yeah.
interesting.
Yep.
Mm.
I love it. And even though I'm not a church person, as you both know, I love architecture and I love
Yes, architecture's nice, isn't it?
oh,
They can do some really good stuff sometimes.
yeah, and they put so much into churches because they're very proud of the churches, obviously. So they blend all of these different architectural techniques, and I just find them the most fascinating place. And when I lived in London, I used to go St. Paul's always, and I was the person that did stand on the steps pretending that I had a bag of pigeon food, and I'd sing "Feed the Birds," and my used to go, oh, you are going to get arrested and I am not coming to help you. But I loved it. But the cathedrals in particular, I used to go to and just wander around and again touch and look and absorb what was happening. And one Christmas, where did Canterbury. We spent Christmas in Canterbury and we went to the Canterbury Cathedral and we were singing. We didn't know the words for the hymn. We were just making up our own words. But again, it was like front to front. Yeah. And a huge procession that came through. The church was packed, but it was just magnificent. And when we walked outside, it was snowing.
Yeah.
It was just beautiful. Yes. Yeah. So thank you, Anne Marie. And young Doug, what's been in your research week?
I've been doing a couple of things actually. I've actually been working on my literature review because that needs to be sent off again to my primary supervisor today or tomorrow
Okay.
for her to have a look at. So I've been sort of working on that, trying to cut things and add things as you do. And then also working on my proposal for my PhD in 2027.
Oh, so you're doing two things at once.
Yes, I'm dividing my attention and it's not good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know about that divided attention. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It's like being schizophrenic, but only in one part of the body. Like,
yeah,
yeah, it's just, oh, I can't concentrate on that. I better do that one. Yeah. So you're really looking ahead then to 2027.
yeah.
Have you thought any more? Last week we talked about LinkedIn.
Oh, I've gone part-time.
Sorry?
I've gone part-time.
Oh, you have. Okay,
So
right.
officially that happened last Thursday, but by the time the university actually catches up and makes it official will be don't know. But I did that Monday or Tuesday last week, whenever I was discussing it.
Yeah,
Um, so I'm sure the stipend will be halved,
yeah.
and then I've got to let Centrelink know and my housing people know so they can readjust my payments and that.
So what is the effect to you with now only having half stipend, apart from rents?
Less money.
Yeah, yeah, but what does that mean for you?
I think it will mean that I will have roughly another 12 months added to from June, so roughly June next year will be my
And
submission date.
yeah,
Because decided on roughly the middle of the year to do it. So that'll mean if I get a 6 month extension, that'll put me to the end of next year, which I don't want to do. I'm going to try and work at a full pace, full workload
mm-hmm,
with the occasional break,
mm-hmm,
so I don't stress out.
mm.
What else? Oh yeah. I don't know. I think it's going to free up a lot more time and energy to focus instead of going like a mad ball and
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. That's a big decision, and I know that you have been like you've toyed with it over the last couple of years on and off, but a
yeah,
big decision. And I'm really happy to support you however I can. I don't know how that is. I've already paid for the book. So,
yeah. Well, it's on
but
its way. It should
yeah,
be
yeah,
there
but
next week or
yeah, thank you. Yeah,
something.
yeah. I'm happy to support you either emotionally or in any other way that I can. Yeah. You can stop saving for Tasmania because
I
Tasmania,
know. It's disappointing, isn't it?
I was gutted. Absolutely.
Mm.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it is completely off the table. Yeah. There's just no way I'm going to pay that extra money. No, no way I'm
No.
going to. So very, very sad.
The old ladies haven't come to the party and dropped the price?
No,
No.
no, because they want to return to the mainland and they need to buy on the mainland, and
Yeah.
mainland prices are just insane.
Yeah.
And look, really, the house is absolutely worth it. It needs a lot of work, but
Mm.
however old it is, I don't know. So 1845 it was built, do the
Yeah.
math. It needs some maintenance, of course,
Mm.
which they can no longer do. But
No.
oh man, I actually was depressed. And I
Mhm.
verbalized it to Paul. I said, I am now depressed. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's okay. It wasn't meant to be. And I would much rather just put it to bed now so I can go ahead and concentrate. But also,
Mm.
we've had another death.
Oh,
Yeah, so I've had a rough week in terms of things going wrong. So you know about Witiana, who is the man that I wanted.
yeah.
Yeah, the co-founder of Yothu Yindi, right?
Yeah.
So his older brother passed away on,
Oh,
was it last Monday? I think it was Monday
yeah.
afternoon. Last Monday
Oh,
afternoon.
wow.
Yeah. So it was just after we had last met.
Yeah.
So of course, Paul has been very heavily involved in the sorry business, but I've gone to the smokings and the ceremonies and the, up at the hospital, where the women throw themselves on the ground, like full body throws on the ground. So it's been very distressing, and poor Witiana
Mm.
has been beside himself.
Mm.
But yeah, that's been a pretty full-on week for me. So I am not where I had intended to be.
No.
I have, however, just reporting on what we discussed last week when I realized that it's my lack of creativity. I feel like a dried up old prune. The
Mm.
dinner party on Saturday night, so I was able to get creative there. So I did cooking, I did table setting, I made fancy serviettes. I had a friggin' ball.
Oh, very good.
Yes. Yeah, and that's what I'm missing because I am a people person. I love people.
Yeah.
Yeah, so having people in the house where I'm laughing with them and having full-on discussions with them. And these two people, one is from Victoria, two women. One's from Victoria and one's from Canberra. So completely different conversations to what I've been having with people up here. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was lovely. Oh, and one of Paul's colleagues as well, and his wife couldn't come because their 2-year-old was being a 2-year-old, so she stayed home. But he's from Tassie. So it was lovely, really lovely. Yeah. So I am behind, and I've just cancelled supervision for this afternoon because I've realised it is a public holiday, and while I can do it, they probably won't be able to.
Yeah.
But this week I'm working double time. So instead of going part-time, I'm doing double time without penalty rates to try and catch myself back up. But I am back up on, I'm back on track
Yeah.
in terms of, right, Mr. M. Marika, we can't say his name. And anybody that has any of us, any Ballender who have his English name, you can't say their name either. So one of the guests on the weekend, we had to call him H rather than say his name.
That
Yeah,
was always really interesting in Arakoon, hey, that because you don't use
their
their
name.
names even if you're white person and
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
And knowing the different times that, like the morning time,
Mm.
the Torres Strait, it's until Tombstone opening. You can't say their name or whatever. Papua New Guinea, you could never say the name again. So you had to change people's names. And here, it's until the funeral.
Yeah.
So we're thinking, this is really weird how things work out. We're thinking that the funeral might actually be on in the week that we were going to Tassie. So I've just cancelled all of the flights, obviously, because we're not
Yeah.
going. But we were still going to head to Brisbane to see Jesus Christ Superstar. So maybe we have to cancel that too to be here for the funeral. Yeah, and not driving on the road, shops close. It's a whole sorry business that
Mm.
people just don't understand.
Mm.
Do you two know who Professor Bindi Bennett is? Social
I've
worker.
heard of her, but no, I don't.
Okay, Indigenous social work professor. And
Yeah.
she's with, oh my goodness, is it Torrens University?
Okay.
Where is Torrens?
Well, there's one in Adelaide,
Adelaide, I think.
and there's another one in Sydney or Brisbane as well.
Yeah, I don't think she was in Adelaide. But anyway, it doesn't matter which uni she's with. But I met with her during the week as well, and with one of Paul's staff. And Bindi is going to present a project that they're doing up here with the Yungu. She's presenting it at the International Federation of Social Workers in Canada in August.
Oh, that'd be nice.
Nice.
Yeah. So Eleni, who works with Paul, Eleni and I had been discussing the differences in grieving and how Balanda, we don't understand the importance of the respect and the protocols. And there's some words that don't translate at all. So Eleni was saying that she would really like to be able to present somehow on that. And I went, hello, Canada. Like we could present it together in Canada. I'll help you write it up. And let's go to Canada with Bindi and do it. And Bindi thought it was a great idea. But of course, abstracts are already closed. But that's a side project that I think that we will do.
Yeah. You know, an interesting thing that's come up in so one of the things so about you know, the government wants all kids to thrive in early childhood, and like in remote areas, according to their things, they don't. But I'm arguing that there's different ways of thriving, and there's different versions of you know, a good life and that sort of thing, and that maybe what we're assessing is not necessarily the whole picture. And it came across that in Yolngu language,
Yeah.
that there's not words for success and aspiration and that sort of thing, because that's an individualistic thing, you know. Yeah. So it was just interesting, you know. So when you're you know, wanting kids to stay at school and that sort of thing, like the language around what you want, you know, for a successful life, and you know, the dreams, they just may not be the same dreams.
Yeah.
And like I've had that discussion with some people who come as, you know, working with young people here and want to get them all the way to school, when their dream is actually to go and work on Delta, which is an Aboriginal owned station here. But them going, you know, that they need to, you know, think outside of that and you know, experience these other things. But like, who says?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was just interesting, the language
Yeah. I think
stuff.
because we don't understand the link between an Indigenous person and their country. Like to us, a piece of land is an investment. It's something that you buy. You know, it's part of your progression into adulthood. You know, you buy a block of land, you build a house, you live happily ever after, which we know is complete bullshit. But that is the line that is fed to us. And while some people resist that, we're still fed it. Like, this is how we measure your success. Have you got a real job? Yeah. Have you got a huge mortgage that your children will inherit from you? Because that's success. Really? Whereas to them, to Indigenous people, country is spirit, country is healing, country is them. It's an extension of them. Don't harm our country, because then you're harming us. And there's just such a lack of understanding. Anne-Marie, recently I met with two PhD researchers from CDU. They're both studying young people here in Nhulunbuy. Jenny Webber and Bev Babbage. Bev is doing education. Actually, they're both doing education. So I'll link you to them, because they're fascinating. And Bev was talking about, no, sorry, the other lady. Jenny was talking about how we measure success. Like, we have to change all of our scoring in educational settings because
Yeah, and teach differently, like they've got this thing that, the AEDC scores, which is one of the things that, tell us whether kids are developmentally vulnerable. And they're saying that they're predictive of numeracy and literacy skills at age 8 and 10 when they do their NAPLAN things because they've linked all this data these days. Um, but, like what does that tell us? That it's, individual failings, or is it that the teaching styles don't match the learning styles, or we've maintained socioeconomic disadvantage for the entire time. We haven't changed anything.
yeah,
Like what is that actually telling us?
yeah.
Yeah.
So this is the epistemology of Indigenous education, the thinking around the educational standards and the outcomes and the measurements. And yeah, this is huge.
Mm.
So I will on LinkedIn, I will link you
Yeah.
up with those two women because they're lovely women anyway. And Doug, I think maybe you know Bev, hey?
I know, Bev. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And Jenny actually used to come to Tara's sessions as well.
Okay.
She had reds, like
Oh, yes, yes.
glasses.
The
Yeah,
really cool glasses.
yeah, yeah. And she looked
Yeah,
like she was sitting in this Battleship Galactica, or
yeah.
something. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Very interesting women and very committed to making sure that Yongu is looked after.
Mm.
Their way, not our way.
Mm.
Yeah, so it's fascinating. And
And
that's
that needs to be extended like throughout the country. Hey, and some of there is research around specific First Nations groups, but like that's not transferable just straight across to everybody. And but yeah, it needs
do they still do IQ scoring as a standard thing?
no, I don't think so. Huh? That they do if there's a concern about their IQ. So if they're having learning difficulties and that, they'll do the whisk
Yeah,
and then part of that and then part of that is doing the IQ measures.
yeah. So and possibly it was the same for you, Anne Marie. Doug's a little bit younger again, I think. Yeah,
Oh, stop
baby.
smiling there.
I'm 51. I'm
Us old
51.
ladies.
Okay, we'll put it out there.
When I was at school, but I went to school in Papua New Guinea, so it could have been different. But IQ testing was standard. And they used to give the scores to the parents.
Yeah, no, I never got scored.
So then you've got these cliques of parents who would only allow their children to play with other children.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was terrible. Now I remember that, but it was years and years and
I'm
years.
just going to have to take this. I'll be 1 minute.
Yeah, no worries. We were possibly adults before Mum told my sister and I what our IQ scores meant
Yeah.
and why she never shared it with us. And I was horrified as she was telling me the stories, but horrified that they do that to kids.
Yes.
What made that okay? Because immediately you're telling some kids
Yeah.
you're never going to be successful. You're going to be hugely successful. We're watching you. We'll
Yeah.
put all of our funding and our resources into you.
Yes.
How yeah. Which brings me to today. Have you got a public holiday today?
We do.
Okay, I wonder. No, Queensland doesn't, I don't think, because they changed the dates.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was wondering
Right,
who actually gets it and who doesn't, because it's
Well,
regional and I don't know what that means.
I'm just going to see if I can mute Anne Marie there. Maybe I can't.
The bank thing.
Anne Marie, mute.
Yep.
Yep, there she goes. She's muted.
There she goes.
Yeah. There's some real side kicks to being the facilitator of it.
The
Yeah.
power.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, because I'm so into that. Yeah.
Yeah. It'd be surprising actually how far they could go in closing the gap between Indigenous and non-Indigenous if they took into consideration the meaning of land and country
Yeah.
instead of pushing a Western doctrine all over the place.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, Anne Marie, I
Thanks for
muted
that.
you because we could hear your conversation. Sorry. So just so you know. Yeah. That you're muted. Yeah. We now know that you're pregnant with twins.
Oh, good.
Oh, good.
Now, Doug had just said, Anne Marie, it would be really interesting to find out how things change if we all understand the link to country, like what that means for individuals. Yeah, so how would that change everything that we do?
Especially closing the gap that the government is so behind on and has always been behind on since, I don't know, whenever it started, the 80s or the 90s or the 70s.
Yeah.
There's just no concept within the government to that domain.
It's
You frozen, Anne-Marie?
Hey?
Oh, you're not frozen. Oh, you
No,
just
no,
sit,
no. I was
you
just
sit
sitting still listening.
there's a process of understanding. Maybe there's other things that have to be understood before you get to understanding the connection between land and the collective. It's not even just the individual, because they're connected to their totem and to their, like, the spirit animal. We went, maybe it was 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago, we went to the world premiere of Journey Home, I think it was called, the follow-up story of the death of David Gulpilil.
Okay.
But I did see on Netflix that there is the story of David Gulpilil's life as he is dying. So it was before his death. It's actually worth having a look at that, because that gives some ideas of his connection to country and why he was so broke and how he lived on country and why he lived like that. Like, it is so centrally important to who they are to be able to belong to a group, never to the individual. Whereas oh yeah, no, that's mine. That's my bank account. How much interest am I getting on that?
Yeah.
Me, yeah. Yeah, it's very, very interesting.
Can you send me the link to that or the name of the show?
Yeah, so it's not, the premiere is not on there yet, but
No, the one on Netflix though.
yes,
Because
I
I
will.
might watch that today if I've got time.
Yeah. I watched last night. Paul and I rewatched Storm Boy, and
Oh wow, yes, it's a good movie, isn't it?
Just as things are about to happen, I'm saying the words, and Paul just looked at me and he said, "How long since you've seen this film?" And I said, "Oh, I think Jade was little. Maybe she was 6." And Jade's now 42. And he went, "Oh my God, and you remember the words?" Yes, because it impacted me so greatly.
I thought primary school or junior primary school or
Yeah.
something like that. It was like when it came out.
Yeah. And then in the middle of the night, because I'm still not sleeping, I got up and watched Walkabout, which I hadn't seen. That was one of his that I hadn't seen. Yeah. And that was
bit dark.
very dark, but also very interesting with how he handled all of the constant put downs and how he turned it all around. Yeah, very interesting movie. It's a psychological thriller. So, Anne Marie, you don't have a public holiday today, do you?
No, we had a public holiday on Friday for our show.
Day, yeah.
And we used to have it on the Monday, and that meant we used to get a 4-day weekend. So we'd have show and rodeo, and then Monday was recovery cleanup day.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, but we used to go out and like collect all the cans and all that sort of thing for recycling and that sort of thing on for I was connected with the Scouts, so yeah, would always go out and
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
clean up where now you sort of rely on people who either aren't working or doing it after work time and that sort of thing. But
Yeah.
yeah, we get ours in October.
Yeah, that's right. Because Queensland used to do June weekends for the Queen's
Mm.
birthday, and then they changed it to October. Yeah. So South Australia and Northern Territory are both public holidays today. But I just find it actually a little bit offensive that we still celebrate the King's birthday when like the colonial damage is just so
Yeah.
but we
Yeah.
still celebrate. And I have nothing against the king, and he deserves respect because of his position. But we don't have to celebrate. We don't have to have a public holiday for his birthday. Like we don't have one for Donald Trump, and he thinks he's the king of the world.
Yeah.
And we don't have one for the Australian Prime Minister or the Governor General, and we don't have one for our own birthdays. So why are we having one for the king's birthday? Yeah. That's just my own political views. And I'm sure that my PhD supervisors would be telling me to please don't air your own political views because it's got nothing to do with your opinion. And I find that very difficult. I've been asked, I don't know if I told you, I've been asked to remove all comments on Trump out of my thesis.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah, because it dates the thesis.
mm.
And
But
also,
they're a period. They're set in a period, a set period of time. A thesis is. You can't like take one that's based on like Tara's one on the Beatles.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Her
know,
her masters.
yeah.
That was set in based on the 60s and the possibly the 70s as well. I'm not sure when they all split.
Yeah. My supervisor's concern is with the international assessor that they might
Okay,
be a supporter of,
they might be American. Yeah, they
which
might want to keep their job.
tells me that they probably are, because they know who my assessors are. I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I will go back and I will edit all of that out. But damn it, it's going into my book.
Mm.
I'm not holding back in that, yeah. And plus, it is opinion. Like, I don't like what the Trump administration is doing. That's opinion, right? But wouldn't it nice for it to be in a PhD thesis so it becomes fact then? Somebody else can cite that? Yeah, anyway. All right, well, Cherubs, Paul and I are going out because he has the day off for the King's birthday. We're going out to have birthday cake this morning. So we're going out for coffee together. And then I'm coming back to my office to catch up on all of the work that I missed out on last week.
Yeah.
But wonderful to see you both. And as
Yes.
always, reach out during the week if you need to. Yeah. Yeah. All right. And Anne, really,
Okay then.
you keep drawing trees. They're gorgeous.
Well, when I sent my thing in last night, this picture had been sitting there calling me to do some more work on it. So yes, I was sitting there with the TV on and in the lounge chair uh, painting.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah,
It's
so that was good.
creative and it's just using that different part of your brain. And I think that research actually supports the more creative you are, the better developed the other side of the brain becomes.
Yes.
Yeah. So you
Yeah.
can think more analytically. And I do when I'm using my hands, I knit, crochet, and stitch. So when I'm using my hand, no, I used to do those things before I started a PhD.
Yeah.
But it's absolutely my clarity time because I'm thinking, I'm plotting the world overthrow. And I'll be watching the breaking news today to see how things are going with young Greta and her
Yes.
humanitarian crew.
Israel say they're going to block the boat from approaching.
Yeah, so the last that I am aware, which was not long before I came in here, they were surrounded by Israeli boats, and they were being, loudspeakered or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, told just sit down, do not do anything. Yeah. So I'm watching with great interest.
Mm.
All right, cherubs. See you all.
Bye.
Yeah, I'll see you next
Bye.
week.
See you next
Bye.
week. Bye bye.
Bye.